Hello, my name is Marcus Green and this presentation is about MoodleMoot Global 2025, which was held in Edinburgh, Scotland in September. So what was it like? But first, I work for Catalyst EU, and if you're running Moodle, you're already running Catalyst code. And this is because Catalyst has thousands of commits to core Moodle since the very early days. Catalyst also has approximately 196 Moodle plugins on GitHub. So if you need support with Moodle, hosting, consultancy or development, contact us. Also, while I was researching this, I came across a blog post from Brickfields, the people who specialize in accessibility, particularly with Moodle, and it's worthwhile taking a read of that for their take on it. And you can see that I'll be using QR codes throughout this. So that QR code takes you to their blog post, but most of the QRs will take you to the YouTube videos that link to the presentations that I'll be talking about. So, the elephant in the room, is it worth it? It's a lot of money to go. £795 plus VAT is quite a lot of money for a conference. However, if you can afford it, it is a really high quality conference. Everything is done to a standard ranging from the venue, the food, the entertainment, the organization. It's absolute top quality. And also there's a lot of people there and it's big. That's a photograph that was taken, I think just after the keynote presentation. And to put that into numbers, 750 attendees, and I've been going to MoodleMoot since the very first one back in 2004. That's a lot of people coming from 59 countries, and there were 99 presenters. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to touch on all those presentations, but a lot of those presentations are on YouTube, and you'll find the links to them via the QR codes. But if you take a look on YouTube, you can see a lot more of the presentations. Also, it's a lot of fun. There was an official fancy dress party and some people went to extraordinary efforts to dress up. That's just a taster of them. That picture of me playing guitar on the top right hand corner was a different thing. That was a separate thing that ran alongside, and it wasn't just me playing guitar. That's Martin Dougiamas, founder of the project, in the background. A lot of other really talented musicians and singers came along, and I'm not much of a party person, but I found it really, really engaging. And by fun, I think this is a nice example of the official party. So that's the founder of the Moodle project, Martin Dougiamas, being kidnapped by an alien. So I was very honored to be invited to be part of the keynote presentation. And my interpretation of their requirements is that they were looking for something innovative. And at the moment, AI is one of the big innovations that's going on. And that it should be FLOSS, free, libre and open source. So the maximum number of people will be able to use it. And also importantly, available right now. There is a lot of talk about things that are coming around the corner and will be ready very soon. But these were projects that you can download, install and use so long as you've got access to an AI system right now. So the keynote was delivered by Scott Andeberg, and then there was myself and Peter Mayer of Mebis and Francois and Florence from France. So what were Scott's themes? The big themes from Scott were for Moodle that should facilitate diversity, should encourage inclusivity, and very important to my heart, foster creativity, because Moodle is Moodle because of the contributions and creativity of the community. And that photograph there, Scott was prompting an AI to generate more and more outrageous images with a large language model. So the themes he touched on were agentic AI, which is a shift from the content generation to workflows and orchestration. And this really resonated with me because there's been a lot of content generation discussion, but for me, that is not the problem that teachers wrestle with. In fact, you can make an argument there's more than enough content, but it's other areas that absorb teachers' time. Privacy and control, very, very important. Assessment and feedback, again, very close to my heart. Improving the efficiency in authoring, grading, and closing the feedback loop, because feedback is so vital to learning. And the ecosystem and openness, to prioritize agency and data sovereignty, so that we're not just recipients of an organization saying this is what you must do, but that organizations and teachers have some control over the teaching and learning experience. So after Scott, this was the first presentation from Peter Meyer, who works for BYCS in Bavaria, formerly known as MEBIS, and he addressed the issue of why integrate AI in Moodle at all. And he emphasized that their strategy was to support teachers to teach and students to learn, which maybe sometimes that can sound like stating the obvious, but sometimes people have other agendas. And he also spoke about the BYCS framework, which is an AI subsystem parallel to the core Moodle AI subsystem, and which you can run the two together. And I have run the two together. And one of the reasons, and I've worked very closely with Peter and his team in the development of my plugins, and it's really well worth looking at to see the slightly different emphasis on features and priorities that they have when delivering to their school pupils, because they look after 1.6 million Moodle accounts in Bavaria. So this is real world, large scale implementation of this kind of technology. So I gave my presentation on my AI text feedback question type with my emphasis that it is entirely free Libra and open source, and it's very widely used. In addition to the BYCS team is 270 installations recorded on the Moodle's or plugins database. And then I put a big red warning. I do recommend you take a look at that. It's 11 minutes. This is only for formative assessment. This is not for assessment where it can have a profound effect on a student's life. The emphasis is, this is to help people learn. Francois and Florence, they have collaborated with two Moodle partners, Moxis and Tresipoint, excuse my pronunciation, and they have a tool that is a large language model based content creation. And the emphasis here again is that it creates editable native Moodle activities. So all those tools that you are familiar with, but then you can tweak them after they've been created. So Maria Kaur, very senior person at Moodle HQ. I don't think I have an exact job title. And broadly, some of this came to me after the conference because I contacted her afterwards to see what was up to date for the purpose of this presentation. And MoodleNet, which has been around a long time, will be cease HQ-driven development. That doesn't mean to say it's going to go away. People can pick it up and still use it and enhance it, but they're going to stop funding that from Moodle HQ. They're going to decommission their Fund Moodle site, which was a project to get community contributions and financial transactions towards joint projects and collaborative initiatives. So that's coming to an end. But this is the new thing, or the new emphasis is there's going to be new product development and immediate priority developing new capabilities in Moodle LMS. And that's the thing that you can download, and then Moodle Workplace, which is available through Moodle partners. And there was also commentary that, as in the past, some of the features from Moodle Workplace will, over time, make their way into LMS. And the real sort of headline, that's just saying they're going to keep on doing those two things, but they're going to launch a new Moodle Marketplace, which in my head, I think of it as Moodle's Plugins Marketplace. And on this next slide, you will see that Setara Singh gave a presentation to explain what this was about. And the thing is that every real-world Moodle has plugins. Moodle Cloud has got at least 5 plugins. Core Moodle is a great product, but you start to customize it with plugins and suddenly it can do just what you want to do. So this project will focus on usability, upgradability, and value, and it also give developers a path to generating some revenue from their plugins, effectively a sort of app store. And she also spoke about the AI strategy and community-driven innovation. However, if you really want to gauge how important something is, sometimes one way of looking at that is how many people you're allocating to it. And you can see here they've got 10 people allocated to it. I'm not saying that that's all they're doing, but they are taking the Moodle marketplace really seriously, and it is absolutely one to watch. They've done some research as to what this product should be and what issues it should address. And as you can see from this slide, people said to them, it's hard to discover new and interesting solutions. There's too much noise. I don't know which plugins are being maintained. I've come across that myself, and it's hard to find the information I need. So this is it'll be, I think in the long term, it's going to be a complete replacement for the plugins database, but they're going to improve its usability and other features to it. So, the curse of the demo. So this was Martin's presentation about AI, and I say the curse of the demo because there's a long history in technology generally of when you're live demonstrating the actual technology you're talking about, things can go wrong. In fact, they didn't seem to go wrong very much at all for me, but Martin was demonstrating this Apple VR thing, and then we moved on to a lot of other issues. And the one that really caught my mind, there were several, so if you go and look on the YouTube video, you can see about the presentations. This is from Heikki Wilenius, who's from Finland, who he says he's an anthropologist, but he's an amazing Moodle person for an anthropologist. He is an anthropologist. And he set the challenge to create a Moodle plugin in 25 minutes using large language model tools. He also spoke about his Momo PDA meta prompt, which I've used extensively since the conference. I've used it a lot, and it's when you just hear me say a meta prompt, it's kind of what. But what it is that you have all these large language models that can be used for Moodle plugin development, but this kind of presets it up to understand Moodle development because these models obviously they don't specialize in that. But the really amazing bit is that he asked for suggestions. He got a easily encapsulated suggestion, went away and worked on it between the start of the presentation, between Martin coming on doing the VR thing and the end. And at the end, the plugin worked, and you can pause that to read that there. I think that's actually an AI summary of some of the transcript. And then also, the repo is there. If you scan that in, that'll take you to Heikki's repo. You read through the README, and you can see what it does. You can install it, and it works. And that's kind of like, that's really interesting. And I say, I've spent a lot of time with it since. So this one really amuses me because Javier is a really good presenter, is very engaging, and he started off by saying, this is not a Moodle talk. It's like, woo, this is Moodle conference. In fact, the product he showed off was based on Next.js, which is not a Moodle technology used within Moodle. But the point of Moodle is for education. So he showed these AI-powered, LLM-powered activities that he created with colleagues, and he's a really good presenter. He's just very, very engaging, and the product looks really interesting. So I strongly recommend that. So Mark Glynn from Catalyst, who I work for, mentioned earlier on. This is a presentation that doesn't mention AI, it's high level, it's kind of theoretical, and it's about academic integrity and what's called the fraud triangle. You can think cheating, plagiarism a little bit here, and this addresses it at the human level as to why do people feel the pressure to take shortcuts, cheat or fraud, and at the end of it he comes up with some recommendations. And in a conference that's a lot of technology, it's really nice to hear somebody talking about the more human aspects of education and the use of technology. So back to the dawn of Big Blue Button, a Big Moodle, I should say. Fred Big Blue Button Dixon. It's not his real name. Fred, again, he spoke about the human side of teaching, learning, and technology, and he had this emphasis on active learning and not passive learning because a a broadcast model for education doesn't work. If people are passive, they probably aren't learning. And to make learning happen, teachers are central. And I was quite intrigued. I heard other people say about this, because I should emphasize that the MoodleMoot is not just about the technology. There's always a lot of talk about learning and the theory behind learning. And this idea of learning as a mental workout, or you need a little bit of friction in order to learn something, anything. And one of the terms I heard used in this presentation was Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. And that can make you think like, what? But if you search on the words Moodle and philosophy, it'll take you to a page which talks about social constructivism as a philosophy of learning. And one of the terms there is Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. And this is the covering the gap, or setting up the gap between what you know now and what you want to know. It's really interesting. But there's good technical stuff in Fred's presentation. And the standout thing that he spoke about, and this isn't a shiny new, it's relatively new, and that Big Blue Button, which is a conferencing system that's well integrated with Moodle, now has a plugin architecture. Now, in the same way that the great thing about Moodle is that you can extend its features through plugins. You don't have to change core Moodle. The idea that you can add features to Big Blue Button through plugins is really exciting. He touched on whiteboards, and he also touched on polling. And I've known about polling for a long time, but I was really reminded of it when he spoke about it, because they're really easy to set up in Big Blue Button. And it's a great way of teachers finding out from students what they know, and for students to be given some agency and that they can give feedback to the teacher. This was another moment, because I was walking around the conference, and like you do, you sort of look at something, go, yeah, I think I've heard of them, And then I saw this, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. So I went over and I spoke to them, and their raison d'etre, the reason that they created their product, is an awareness of the limitation of threaded forums. And if you've ever taught using forums, when they work, they're brilliant, but a lot of the time they don't. And this is partly because typically people are a bit reluctant to contribute. And they have come up with a concept called digital argument mapping. And this is a way to lower the barriers to contributions and also to produce better interactions. It's hard to describe just in a single slide, but check out their video. It's a really interesting tool. So Matt Porrit from Moodle HQ gave a presentation on open source security, because just because it's freely available and downloadable doesn't mean to say that it's not secure. And he emphasized that security is a shared responsibility. It's not just something from the creators of the software, mainly Moodle HQ. And there are issues such as responsible disclosure and reporting that really make a difference. And he emphasized that Moodle HQ have a proactive and audited approach to security. And I followed this for many years, and yeah, this is absolutely true. So this is the last slide, and arguably it's perhaps one of the things that affects most people, the technical changes, but it's also interesting about how these changes came to go about. So this was the future of the Moodle quiz and the question bank. This is from Luca Bush at Bern University, Tim Hunt and Antonio Bonacorso from ETH Zurich. And I sometimes think of this as the Bern Consortium, and people from Catalyst have been working on this. And this is all about the changes to the quiz and the question bank. Now, for a long time, from the dawn of Moodle, I've said that if the only thing that Moodle did was have its quiz functionality, it would justify Moodle. And I would say that the Moodle quiz engine question bank is the most powerful anywhere, free or paid for, with more functionality and more question types than anything else. But it's also interesting how that the funding for this, and how this multiple European universities came together to make this happen. And I've been working on this recently. These is things like question versioning, question bank plugins. I've created one myself. It's a very possible thing to do. Some really significant changes in the quiz and question bank. Thank you very much for watching this. My name is Marcus Green. I work for Catalyst IT Europe. You can contact me on using any one of those methods there, and I recommend following me on the Fostodon instance of Mastodon, where you can find quite a lot of stuff about that's going on in the world of EdTech and Moodle. Thank you very much.